Good morning and welcome to the Rewind Show. Hashtag 18, I believe it is. We should have been here yesterday, but I was running around like a blue arse chicken, and so was Mr. Peters. But he sat there in his usual spot on his toadstool, on his mushroom at the sports bar. How are you doing?
Only just. I've been flying around like a blue arse fly as well.
Have you? What?
Ain't no stopping us now. I'm on the move.
Well,
and I don't mean the toilet.
What have you been up to, buddy? What have you been doing?
Flying about all over. You know what it's like. I think it were no, I'm only joking. Well, I am joking, but I'm not joking. I mean, getting this coach now. Which is what it's for. The youth teams want to use it. So on Sunday. So we had the game on Saturday. So you know what it's like. You're preparing for the game. Saturday morning's always bad. Everything. I'm kind of on my own here on a Saturday morning. Meatball decides to come at some point, but like he's like a bad apple. He comes and he's too busy talking about what's the team today, what's the team, who's playing, what's this, what's that, and my head goes, and I'm trying to concentrate on what I'm doing. Yeah. And I mean, Meatball, he's supposed to be giving me a lift, but he does anyway. He's a good lad, really. But and then obviously it's the game, and then after the game, you've still got your jobs to do because you've got to kind of clear everything up. What everybody's left. Don't matter how many bins you have around the grounds, you still got to tidy everything up.
Yeah. And
then on Sunday morning, you're up early because the 21s are playing at Glossop, and they want to go on the coach. So I'm the only person that can drive it, which is a bit of a sin, but that's the way it is with the cost of. I mean, I've got a PSV license, so so I'm the only person. So I took the coach on Sunday to Glossop with the under 21s. By the time I got back from that, it's turn tea time. It's ready to go to bed. And then on Monday, you know what it's like on Monday after the weekend. You're doing all your reconciling. Yeah. Then you're firing off to the bank, and then you're, you've also, and the other thing were, because you saw how much that pitch deteriorated on Saturday, it was important that, I managed to get on it before any rain came. You might not think it, but there is a bit of a formula. The idea is don't get on the pitch straight away after the game. Just let it settle.
Yeah.
Let it settle, let it go in. And I said it to Dave. I said, you'll be amazed. I said, tomorrow morning, you look at this pitch now, and then tomorrow morning, if there's been a wind overnight, you'll see a remarkable difference. And you did. I did. There was a remarkable difference. And then on Monday, it allowed me to get on it. But like you said, with the way it deteriorated, I mean, I were like 10, 11, 12, 1. I was 3 hours on that pitch yesterday morning on the tractor.
Yeah, I did see it. You put it on Twitter, up and down yesterday. Yeah.
So that takes a lot of time, and when you, as you know, in this game, it's 3 hours away from your computer is a long time, because in that time there's loads of emails coming through, and you're trying to answer them, and they're just stacking up, and then you've got things to do, and some are easy to answer, some aren't easy to answer. And time before you know where you are, time goes on.
Yeah. Well, you were busy, I were busy. That's why we kind of pushed the Rewind Show back. We were going to do it late afternoon, but you were stuck in traffic because you had stuff to do in Rottenstall. So we just decided in the end to do it on Tuesday morning, which is probably better.
Yeah. Well, at least we get it in. At least before our next game, which is tonight.
Yeah.
So
it's surprising, Brent, isn't it? Because I had quite a few people come up to me, and you had people who say, no sports bar last week, no Rewind last week, and people do actually wait for it to come on a Monday morning.
Well, I suppose it's better than watching. I mean, I'm not as good looking as Suzanne, whatever her name is, on breakfast TV, but I suppose it's better than listening to all that doom and gloom that's on Good Morning Britain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At least we're talking something that we all have a passion about and love, football. And we're not always talking just about Bacup Borough. I mean, yeah, it's about Bacup Borough, but we're not always talking about Bacup Borough. as our viewers, realise. We talk about all aspects of what's going on in the game. Some will agree with us, some won't agree with us, but
that's it.
It is what it is. Just while we're talking about emails, though, I've just got to remember, it just come back to me. I had some, I had two quite serious emails to answer yesterday. I mean, it were after. I mean, I don't get to hear the commentary of you and Knights. I don't get to hear it, but it must have been a bit concerning.
Why?
Because I got the RSPCA onto me. And they were complaining about what are we running here? It's supposed to be a football club, and they said traps and greyhounds. What's all that about? I had to. They were on about greyhounds and traps. They said, "Are you trapping greyhounds?"
You had me worried for a second there. I thought, I was like trying to recollect what I've been saying. No, traps, out of their traps.
And not only that,
Andrew Knights.
Yeah, and not only that, not long after I'd answered that email, I get potential sponsor onto us.
Right, go on.
And this were a good one.
Win a lot.
Oh, well, that had been a good one, yeah. But it was John West. John West is the best, isn't it? The people with the salmon. Because he kept talking about salmon. I mean, what's next? Oh, you just said it there. Dog food, win a lot.
Yeah, we want to win a lot, don't we?
Yeah, exactly. So no, it's good. It's good. So yeah, no, I was joking apart. I just thought I'd drop that one in, but I can get you. You know what I'm like, Steve. I mean, I get you every time, don't I?
You see that hand there? He's got me there. Oh. Yeah. No, he's really good. I know he'll probably be watching this morning. I know he's working, but he'll be watching probably. And he does a great job. He's loving it. He's loving it, his Knightsy. And he's fantastic with the co-coms because he knows the players. He's watched the club for quite a few years. So, there's no one better to summarise than Andrew Knights. And he does
well. You both do well. It's very good, actually. The clips I listened to the clips on a Sunday, and I think the lads appreciated and the lads loved it. You know what they're like.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to. The theme tune should be for the players. Carly Simon, You're So Vain.
Hey, you're on it today, mate.
Hey, it's a match day, isn't it? I've got to be bright and breezy. I hope my lads are on it tonight. Our lads, anyway. I hope they're on it.
I hope they are. But let's go back to Saturday, because on Saturday, Brent, they were certainly on it from the first whistle to the last. They don't usually start off really well. It's no secret that we're slow out of the traps, so to speak. But on Saturday, we were quick out of the traps. Well,
it's something that kind of me and Dave have been drilling into them. Every game, basically. It's the way you start. You've got to start well. And it comes back. We go back to the warm-ups. It goes back to everything. It goes back to preparations. It goes back from the minute that they walk into the ground. I was a bit kind of concerned a little bit that on Saturday, more than anything, that the Manchester Derby run at dinner time, and we can't get away from the fact that they're going to take an interest in that, and they were in here before they got the first half in. That's why when I sent the text message, usually it's 1:15 in the changing room, but this on Saturday I kind of changed it to 1:30 in the changing room, because I knew by 1:30 it'd be they get the first half in.
Yeah.
So you've got to give and take a little bit, and I'm a bit concerned because I remember going to St. Helens, and I think that was the first match of the Premier League season. And they had the phones on before we started talking. They had the phones on. They were watching what were going on at. I can't remember who Man United were playing first match, but I think they scored. Did they score 5? I could.
But we were at Pilkington, weren't we? And the lads.
We're at Pilkington. Yeah, it was Pilkington, but it were St. Helens. Yeah, it was still grand. Yeah, and kind of the Reds were kind of somewhere else, and you could tell that, and we had a bit of a go about it, because the mindset should be on our game, not on what's happening elsewhere. And but like I say, on Saturday, you know, with it being the Manchester derby, they got the first half in. But to be honest, they were on it. You know, they went over to the change. This is where it all starts. It's all your preparation. They went over to the change room, everything. You know, they prepared right. They prepared well. We do the same things all the time. I go in, you know, I have a little bit of a brief chat before I name the team. I named, and then after I've had a brief chat, Dave has a brief chat, and then we name the team, and then it goes on, and then it's at kind of an handover time at that point, because once I've had my say and once Dave's had his say, we hand it over to the captain, because the captain then leads the warm ups, and Jack Fairhurst as well, you know, the physio, so he gets involved with the warm ups as well. So it's all like a repetition. Everybody knows what they're doing, what we're about, everything. We come away from the changing rooms. They've got the music on, you know, they're buzzing, they're psyching each other up, which is excellent, you know, as you'd expect from, you know, good teammates.
Yeah.
A lot of solidarity, and you know, and then obviously what happens is they do the warm up, they come back in. I go through the set pieces with them just before they're ready to go out. Dave will have a final say. And then it's hit the road, Jack, as the song goes. And we certainly did hit the road. You know, I mean, what were it, 57 seconds? Cal Siddall's, you know, picked the baton up and kind of ran with it. And, you know, took players on, drove into the box, and finished.
He was on his bike on Saturday. Was Kyle?
Kyle was different. You know, since Kyle, I don't know. I'm seeing a bit more maturity in him now, because
I think so.
Before his injury, you know, before his injury, I mean, we're managing him all the time. Both of them, Kyle and Ryan. You know. They're strong characters, and they've got to be managed.
Yeah.
But the good characters, they're winners. They're winners. It don't matter whether they're playing for 21s or whether they're playing for, you know, in a training game. They are both winning. They've got winning mentality, and you can't fault that. That's what you need. But they are, you know, the kind of, you've got to be strong manager with them, because they are what they are, and there is no problem. And I say it all the time. I mean, it's funny, because last night I had a conversation with one of our youth coaches from one of the youth teams. He were having a few issues, but his issues were which were fatal. He's allowed parents to get involved, and you know, and it's like, you know, I mean, we're at a senior football club. Well, if you take the template of football league clubs, the parents don't get involved. They're not allowed to get involved. They're out the way. But he's allowed parents to get involved, basically, and it's created a bit of a problem. And I said to him, one of the things I said, and I said all the time, I said, listen, these parents, and you've got to understand that when you've got a group of players, no matter what age group they are, you're not going to have a group of choir boys. It's not going to happen.
No,
you know, they're not going to be like that. You're always going to have different characters in your team.
You don't want a group of choir boys.
No, exactly. But the point I'm trying to make is, I think sometimes some people think, you know, nicey nice, it's all nicey nice, and should, you know, going back to the youth side, you know, they've seen something on a social media platform that one of the kids away from Bacup Borough didn't have a Bacup Borough kit on, didn't have a tracksuit on, didn't have nothing to do with him in his own social life, was kind of being a little bit of a naughty boy, you know, away, and they've seen that, and they've like kind of ganged up and said, he shouldn't be playing, we don't want my kids associated with anything like that. And basically, whatever's gone on or whatever were going on, it had nothing to do with Bacup Borough Football Club. It was out of Bacup Borough's domain, nothing to do with us.
Yeah.
So you can't start, because somebody's, as you're growing up, we've all been scallies in our time. I'm sure you have. I have.
Yeah.
You know, it is what it is. That's part of growing up, isn't it? But you've got to be educated. And sometimes, you know, I've seen the best footballers coming into around me anyway. The best footballers have always been usually the street kids, you know, the kids who've been roughly brought up. You follow me?
Yeah,
they've turned out to be the best footballers and turned on to go on to bigger and better things. But and you read about even players at the top, who's playing in the Premier League. You see some of the background. What's he called? Who were at Watford? He's not at Watford now. He came. Read his
Troy Deeney. Yeah,
Troy Deeney. Read his background.
I know.
So these parents have got to smell the coffee. What they're talking about.
Football actually rescued him.
Correct, 100%. So my point is, coming back, I'll come back to Kyle in a minute, but coming back to that situation, people have got to understand that if young kids have got a reputation, as long as they're good as gold around the football club and they're not doing anything wrong around the football club, they're not part of your family. You're not related. You're playing football with them for an hour and a half, and that's it. And then it's up to our coaches to educate them.
But what we're hoping to do as well, Brent, while he is with us for that hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever it is instill good qualities in him, which he'll take into the street. If we shove him to one side, then it's a recipe for disaster.
Correct. 100%, Steve. 100%. And basically that's what I said to him. Now, what I'm coming back to Carl, not saying Carl for 1 minute or Ryan are like that. They're not like that. Let's get one thing straight. They're not like that. But what I'm saying is they are kind of high maintenance to handle because of the kind of people, the kind of lads that they are. But we love that. Me and Dave love that because at the end of the day, they're winners. All they want to do, they want to play football. They want to go out with a ball. They want to play football, and they're winners. They're wearing that Bacup badge with pride, and they go out there and they will give 120% in every game because they are winners. Yeah. And sometimes they overstep the mark, is what I'm saying is, and that's when we've got to. It's our job to try and rein them in. And yeah. So coming back to pre Kyle's injury, I kind of think he was. We've been working on him all the time. We work on both him and we work on all the players. It's not just about working on them on their technical ability. It's working on them to get in their mindsets and about everything about football. And kind of Kyle situation, he doubted and I had to be cruel to be kind. If you go back to a couple of rewind shows where I said that he came back training and he thought he'd be in the squad on the Saturday. And he's badgering me. Why am I not in the squad on the Saturday? And because he didn't play for the 23s on the Thursday to get some minutes, I just didn't put him in.
No.
This is whether people agree with me or don't agree with me, I'm not interested. I couldn't care less. In my eyes, I'm a strong manager. That's the way we work here. We do. Now at Old Trafford, they're going on saying, "Oh, he's not a strong manager." Well, one thing for sure, me and Dave are strong, and that's what it's about. You've got to have strong management, and you can't wilt on that because he's putting you under pressure and saying, "Well, I don't want to play for 23s, but I want to be in squad on Saturday." Well, no, it don't work like that. It's not happening. You get me? Yeah. So he wasn't in the squad on the Saturday, and that's just the way that we work. So the simple fact were he was badgering me, "Why am I not in the squad?" Well, I told him why he weren't in the squad. Yeah. So the week after, the 23s came up again, so he was selected for the 23s. So he had to get that game in.
Got some game time, yeah.
And you know what? He was quality. He was absolute. I told you at Darwin, he was different class.
Yeah.
He was absolute. He was unbelievable. He was unstoppable. He was brilliant.
But that comes down to attitude, doesn't it?
Attitude. Exactly. So what's happened is then, I seen him play on Saturday. He's come out the blocks on Saturday against Atherton LR, and he's done what he's done. He's just picked the baton up and ran with it, and he's drove, and he's kind of like the old saying, pick the baton and run, and that's what he's done. Yeah. And he's taken the game to the opposition, and he was different. He was absolutely different class. I kept him on. Listen. There's positions in the team, and I've said it before, the way we play, the way we've drilled these lads and what they have to do, there are certain positions in the team where there's a lot of work has to be done. A lot of work. And you've got to have the right characters to play in it, because you'll get some players that won't do the ugly stuff out of possession and won't won't want to do what they're instructed to do. If they don't, them are the players. I mean, we go back to the defeat at against Chariton. One of the reasons why we probably got beat, well, not probably got beat, we did get beat. One of the reasons was because we know how we've drilled these players. It's like everybody's got a responsibility. When you pick that number 6 shirt up, you know what your responsibility is in that position. If you pick the number 7 shirt or number 11 shirt, you know what your responsibilities is. Now, if you're a player that's just newly come to the club and not all fair with it or whatever, and you kind of, it takes time to kind of bed in, if you will, because you have to do it. If you don't do it, it's one piece of the jigsaw that'll fail. And then that brings another part of the jigsaw that will fail. So from one situation failing, it brings 2 or 3 situations failing, because other people then have to come out of the zones to compensate for what somebody else isn't doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So basically, and I kind of think that was one of the reasons why we didn't achieve what we wanted to achieve against Chariton. Now, going back to these positions and Kyle, they are tough positions because there's a lot of work you've got to do in these positions.
There's a lot
and if there was no injuries and time was going on, because especially when we have a midweek game like tonight, what would end up happening? My mindset would be, I'm going to take, in an ideal world, 7 and 11 off. Yeah. Not because they're playing bad, but
rest them up.
We just to recharge them again, because they're playing on an heavy pitch and it's kind of energy sapping, and we've got a luxury of having players on the bench that are equally as good and talented.
Yes,
that could come on and just replace them. Not a problem.
Yeah.
So that's kind of our mindset. What would have happened, and it wouldn't have been. And I remember the day that if we'd have even sniffed at taking them off, you get the mindset is, oh, what have I done wrong? Blinking heck, I want to stay on. I want to do that. I can't believe he's taking me off. You know, that's the mindset.
Yeah, there's questions. Yeah, there's questions.
Yeah. But do you know what? I got a message off Carl Carl asked me if you got any clips of that game, and he wanted to speak to Atherton LR.
I've asked the question and waiting for him to come back to me.
Right. Well, when he asked that question, I just put a message to him. I went, you know what? You were different gravy yesterday. You picked the baton up you were on. I thought you were a different class, mate. You know, absolutely brilliant. Well done. I said, and I kept you on because I kind of wanted you to get that hat trick, because he deserved his hat trick.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought, you know what? I need to bring him off really to freshen it up. And he even said to me back, he went, no, my legs were really feeling it heavier as longer the game went on. He said, but, you know, don't ever worry if you don't have to, if you have to bring me off. I understand. Well, that straight away, the penny's dropped.
The penny has dropped after all this time.
All this time, exactly. He realises.
Yeah.
And it's the same, you know, we took young Alex Mellor off, but not because he played bad. He contributed. He was brilliant. Now, Alex might have been a little bit upset in a roundabout way, because he didn't get on the score sheet, and he wanted to get on the score sheet.
Yeah, he was chatting to us, weren't he, in the bar after, and he was a bit kind of disappointed about not getting on the score sheet. But as you said to him, Brent, his work rate is 100% every single game.
Correct. 100%. And he's contributed. It's not all about who puts the ball in the net. We don't bother who puts, as long as somebody does.
Exactly.
It's the other things in the game, what they do, and might go unnoticed with a lot of spectators.
Yeah.
But, you know, and sometimes substitutions, like we just said, the substitutions, they come because of, we have to think about keeping them fresh for the next game, because you know what it is, when the legs are starting to tire and they're getting heavy, if we keep them on, they could start to pull. They could start to get pulls. They could start to pick injuries up.
But what's great about Alex Mellor, when Alex Mellor came off, you're bringing on another quality player in Anthony Hall, like for like.
100%.
We're not suffering at all.
Not suffering. It's brilliant.
It's fantastic.
Fantastic. It is. and they're massively important. So it doesn't matter. I've said it. We've said it before. The substitutes are every bit, if not more important than the starting 11.
Definitely.
Because you've got to have a bench. If you can't always have it, by the way. You've got to have a bench that can change things if things are being. Because, like, listen, at the end of the day, we have the way that we play. Everybody has roles and responsibilities, and we won't. You'll say you'll have conversations with me and about the opposition, and I say, listen, I kind of, and it's not being disrespectful to the opposition. I don't really. We've got our team that play just like if you look at the Premier League, if you look at the way Chelsea play, they've got an identity and they play their identity, right? And that's what they do every game, and that's what they'll be drilled into on the training pitch, because they'll be drilled into that's the way they play. And even if if one player doesn't play and then another player comes in, he knows exactly in that role what he has got to do. We've not always had the luxuries of being able to do that, but with this group over the last couple of seasons, and especially with COVID, it's allowed us to spend more time with them. In terms of getting them into this mindset of how we play, and it works. Listen, you only have to look at the stats. With one of the, I think there's only one other team got a better goal difference than us. In our league, right? So defensively we're spot on, and attacking we're spot on, both ends of the pitch. But they have to, sometimes people will say to us, why are they not pressing? Why are they not attacking? Well, we don't play that. That's not how we do it. We set little traps, and then we go, boom, we're away, we're gone. That's what we do. Now, some games it won't. Some games, teams will master it or whatever. There's no secret formula. It's just the way that we've drilled our players.
It's like last week, Brent. I said to you, oh, do you want me to go and watch Atherton LR away at I think they were playing Ilkley? And you said, what do you want to do that for, Steve? I don't watch any of. And you're right. You don't watch the opponents. You're more interested in what your team are doing.
Yeah. Listen, at our level of football, I think what happens is, I think there's managers coming to our level of football that have just kind of starting off or in their infancy, and they're following what they do in the Premier League and the bigger leagues. We need to go and watch the opposition. It's a total different ball game out there, because they work with squads, and they're all contracted, and they're working outside transfer windows. It's like now, if Man United are a complete disgrace and I'm sorry, but every game, Ollie has got what Ollie's got. He can't go out in transfer market or bring anybody in because he's outside of a window, right? Now, in terms of, so going back to what it's different going watching them, because you know what the teams are more or less what the teams are going to be, who's going to come in. Even if he doesn't play, they know that even if kind of he doesn't play Ronaldo down the middle, he'll play Cavani.
Yes.
And they'll know what Cavani does. And if he doesn't play Cavani, he'll play Martial. And he'll know what Martial does. So everybody knows, if you follow me logic, everybody will know. But in non-league football, it doesn't work that way, because, I mean, it's like South Liverpool are coming to us tonight, right? South Liverpool are coming to us as a blinking road trip. It's not the best journey, is it, at a night match, coming to Bake-Up? I feel for them on that front, right? Now, I noticed that they've signed 3 new players that were in their side, I think, at weekend. 3 new players. But coming up to Bake-Up, a midweek game, who's to say that them 3 players are going to be available tonight? Because the jobs might dictate that they're not available.
Exactly.
So if you've watched them and you've done your notes and you're basing your team selection on certain players being in that team, when Saturday comes or Tuesday comes, as in this instance, then players might not be playing.
Could be 5 or 6 different changes.
Correct. And you've travelled to South Liverpool or Ilkley or wherever to watch the game.
Yeah, pointless.
Pointless. Listen, I'd sooner sit at home and watch boring Coronation Street than do that.
No, but it was a good performance, and also as well, great to see second week of scoring the goals. That's Toby Wright.
Well, you know what? I'm devastated for the lad. I'm really devastated because you don't know what's going to come now. Well, you do because I tipped you off last night.
Tipped me off, but you didn't.
But our listeners don't know what's going to come. I'm absolutely devastated for him. I mean, the lad's been out. He's just come back from, I think, 4 weeks. He's been out 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah, ankle.
I think he played his last game against Daisy Hill, I think, and he'd had this problem with his foot, and then we got him in. Like I said, we use a football league physio. We've got access to him, who's done wonders with him and done well with him. And we got him back, and he's come back. He played his first game against Nelson, and he was on fire. And he followed that up against Atherton LR. He scored now 5 goals in 2 matches.
Yeah.
And he's buzzing. The kid were buzzing. And he was buzzing around the club on Saturday. He's gone into Deborah, and he's kind of said to Deborah when he was getting through, I'm really glad to be back amongst the lads. I'm really buzzing, you know, and to score, to be scoring hat trick, that's what he's about. Exactly. And at the end of the day, and then I get this horrible text on message on Sunday morning. I were up at Glossop when I read it. It was Sunday. It was in early afternoon and I couldn't believe what I was reading. He's helping his dad at home, doing some work, and they were moving from what I can gather off him, they were moving a radiator.
Well, one of these big cast iron ones.
Well, yeah. It must have been. I don't know. I don't know, Steve, to be honest. But he's moving this radiator, and one of them's dropped it. I don't know who, and it's dropped right on his foot.
Right.
It's dropped right on his foot. Straight away, I've gone, he was devastated, honestly, and I've gone, listen, can you move, first thing I said, can you move your toes? Can you move your toes? Yeah, I can move my toes, but I can't put weight on it. I'm really struggling. So I, the old thing, I said, listen, it'll be at its worst now because there's been an impact on it. It'll be at its worst. You've got to stop the swelling because it's going for an x-ray. It's not going to do anything if it swells. They'll not x-ray. You just have to, just get some ice on and just see how it settles down.
Yeah.
Anyway, later on that night, he went to the hospital, and we and then the news came out. He's broken 2 metatarsals in his foot. So that's paid. Doctors said basically you're looking at 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
So that's a setback for the. You might turn around and say the supporters will say it's a setback. Listen, it's more of a setback for the lad. Listen, our players here have got to pick the baton up and run. We're a squad, and they've got to work. We can't rely on Toby. We didn't rely on Toby in the past 4 weeks when he's been out, and we've had great results in that period of time.
Yeah.
So basically, we don't rely on Toby now. We don't need to rely on Toby. These lads have got to step up to the plate even more so now because we've lost Toby. And I'm sure they're capable, more than capable, of stepping up to the plate and doing it without Toby. But I am devastated for the lad because you've worked so hard, you've done that, you've just got back, you're on fire, he's buzzing, the lad's up here, and his exact words to me, when the doctor told him, he said, we're on the verge of breaking down crying. I mean, there's no shame in that, because when he's telling me, I'm nearly breaking down crying for the lad.
Yeah.
You get me?
Well,
for the lad.
Because he got himself back into a position where he was firing on all cylinders, and everything he was touching was turning to gold over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. So, listen, let's put it into perspective. There's a lot of worse things going on out there away from that. 6 weeks will be here before you know it. We're into a weather situation at minute. He might not miss that many games. You don't know. We can't look through a crystal ball. But 6 to 8 weeks, he'll be here before. It's like Christmas. How long's that off? 6 weeks. Yeah. So at the end of the day, it's going to be here before you know it. So we've just got to do everything right for him. He's got to do everything right. what the surgeon said, and then we take it from there. And we just look after him the best we can while he's not involved. But it is a big loss for us, and it's also a big loss or a setback for Toby. And I really feel for him on that situation. But yeah, his goals on Saturday and his leadership up the top was quality.
Absolutely brilliant. How far off is Lewis Byrne? I saw him hanging around the club. He's been to the last couple of games, just watching the lads. How many weeks away is he from making a return?
Well, you know that saying, when you've got to be cruel to be kind?
Yeah.
Well, it's got to that stage now with Lewis. I've got to be cruel to be kind.
Why,
because
is he keen as mustard? Is he chomping at the bit?
Well, it's called cruel to be kind, so just listen to what I'm saying, Steve, because it's not about chomping at the bit. He is, but he is not, because he's saying, I'm almost there, Brent, but I'm not there. He said, there's certain movements I make and I can still feel pain. Because he had a bad injury as well, and that was done at work by something, dropping something on it.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? And he's saying there's certain movements. So it's got to the stage now where I've gone to him, listen, we've got to step. We can't wrap you up in cotton wool any longer. You've been out 6 weeks. You're going to have pain. I'm not saying we're going to throw you in a game. We're not going to throw you in the game. But what I'm doing tonight, I've named him in the squad. He's not going to be taking part. I'll tell you that now. He'll not take. There's 2 subs we won't use, and we can't use. But by bringing him in the squad, gets him away from being at home. Yes. And what he'll do the warm up. He'll be kicking a ball. Excuse me. He'll get amongst the team again, and he'll know. And then he's around our physio here, Jack. We can do what we have to do here with him, and we'll just monitor it by that. It's step by step. It's great, this show, isn't it? Because everything we say on this show is usually linked to a record, step by step.
I knew you were going to say that.
So it's step by step. So yeah, and I need to do that because I kind of said to him the other day after this situation with Toby, look, we're going to need you more than we've ever needed you before now. So you need to be thinking, sort yourself out. I'm not mollycoddling you anymore. We need to give it a go. We'll just go on. I said, where you going at the minute, Lewis? Where you going? Toby's going to be back before you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Toby's going to be back before you. I said, we need to do something. We need to just try and see, at least get you out of your comfort zone and get you into an environment where at least we see where we go by kicking a ball. And
get rid of that nervousness and that doubt in his mind.
That's the word, nervousness, and that's what's at the back of his head. He wants to be free. You know what he's like? He's a diamond, and what he wants to do, he just wants to play. He just wants to be free as a bird and do what he does best. That's what he wants, and I kind of think he's got it in his head that there's certain movements that he can't do what he does best because he's still feeling pain. So what we've got to do now, we've got to, rather than kind of let him be at home and just come watching us and that, we've got to get him in his kit and start to bring him in and just see how it goes. But listen, anybody that sees him tonight and depending on get him, he won't be going. I'll tell you that now. We're just doing it for a reason.
Yeah.
We've got to look at the bigger picture.
We certainly have. A lot of good performances. You spoke about it before, the defensive qualities that we have this season. The likes of Joey Fallon and Gareth Wage. I saw Ross there at the weekend, just getting amongst the group. How's he doing, Ross Mallinson?
Well, I keep saying it on this show. Ross could probably, if we needed Ross is fit to play. Yeah. But the issue we've got with Ross,
with his career, isn't it?
If he's still in his training, he's got to train right up to December. Now, as much as he's chomping at the bit and wants to play, one part of him says he wants to play, but the other part of him says he really can't play, because one thing's for sure, you've come all this way. We're in a situation now with the forwards where we need to push in the past, basically up to today, up to Sunday, we didn't need to push Lewis, did we? You get where I'm coming from? We didn't need to push him. We let him take his time and get right. Now we've come to a situation where we do need to push him because he's an extra experienced quality player that we need back. Now we've lost Toby.
Yeah.
So we now got to push him. In terms of Ross Mallinson, it kind of is similar situation. He's had an injury. We didn't need to push him because defensively we were doing well as a unit. We had no cover if there was an injury on the back line at centre half. So we named him in a few games on the bench to act as an emergency cover. But we've also got to look at the fact that he's got all this training program and it finishes in December. If he gets an injury by playing in the team, that means he can't fulfill his training, he's back to square one. So all that, however 12 weeks he's had training, he's going to lose and he's going to have to start all over again, and it's going to set him back.
Yeah.
So whilst we don't need to push him, we're happy to let him hopefully see his training program through and then reassess the situation.
Yeah.
At this moment in time, and I don't say this in a wrong way, the lads are doing well. So because the lads are doing well,
there's no emergency, is there?
There's no emergency there. Yeah. Correct. So that's the situation with Ross. We've also got a one eye on his career, but then that poses another question. It's funny this week, and I haven't spoke to Ross about this yet. But I spoke to a lad who rang me up about he actually rang me up about my driving position that's available.
Yeah. Well, I advertised that on Saturday during the game, but that position. While we're on it, that position's still available, isn't it, Brent? If anyone's interested.
Well, I need one. I appointed one, and he's a really, really good lad. But there is one still to fill, and we're still looking at that. But this lad that rang me played for me a few seasons back, midfield player, and he left here to go to Avro, but then he's joined Greater Manchester Fire Brigade, and his words to me were, I mean, he ringing me about the job, not full time because he's a fireman, he's got loads of spare time on his hands. Yeah. So what he was ringing me about is, listen, if you're ever stuck for a driver, I'm available because I have days off.
Yeah,
which was good to hear from him, and good that he's available to do that. But then we got talking about football. So what are you doing really about football now? He said, well, I can't really do anything. This is the worry, and I haven't spoke to Ross about this yet. He said, I can't really do anything about football as such. He said, because he said, all I do now is play for the Greater Manchester Fire Service team.
Yeah.
He said, because my shift patterns are such that I can't commit to the football, which set the alarm bells ringing with me.
Yeah, exactly.
Because of Ross. So Ross is training up to go into Greater Manchester Fire. So if he gets accepted, well, he has got accepted, no doubt about that, but he's got to complete his training. Then he'll get a posting. Now, when he gets his posting, it's probably that period when he gets his posting is how flexible is the station officer in allowing him to
ability again, yeah.
Exactly. And now I know it can happen because I've had lads over years that have been in the fire service and I've played regularly under me. Tony Carroll springs to mind, who was in Greater Manchester Fire Brigade. Brian Welsh, who's still in the Fire Brigade in Lancashire, but he has done a stint I think he's done a stint in Greater Manchester, and he played his football. So I kind of, Ian Senior, goalkeeper, he worked for a long time in the fire service, So I kind of know that it can happen, but when you're a new lad going into a new station, you can't start calling the tunes, can you? You can't calling the shots. It's like, again, if your station manager doesn't like football, he hates it to a passion, then you might have a problem.
No chance, yeah.
But anyway, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Yeah. We touched upon them a little bit. I don't know too much about our opponents tonight. South Liverpool, first season, the North West Counties Division 1. Are they a club that you've come across in the past, Brent, over the last...
Yeah, they've got a bit of history of South Liverpool. Yeah, they're a club that's been around this league, got a lot of history. But going back to them, I've looked a little bit about them, and they've had, to date, they've had 7 wins over the season. They had a 3-1 win against Garstang on Saturday. But for me, the best win was on the 15th of October with a resounding 5-1 win against Pilkington. So let me tell you, that and underline that in itself just tells you what these are about. They'll be almost.
Yeah, I was looking at the table, and they certainly know where the goal is, don't they? They've got a good number of goals this season. Yeah,
well, we'll be telling them where the goal is at Westview when they come tonight. It won't be behind where it normally is. It's in that field.
Yeah.
It's in that field on the as we walk on the ground on the right hand side. That's where the goals are. Yeah.
No,
I say, look, it's like a broken record, isn't it? There's no easy games in the North West Counties League, not at all. Look, you've seen how our friends of Steeton, they're romping on now. They've got their act together, romping on. It just shows you it happens. You can't take nothing lightly and nothing for granted in this league at all. South Liverpool will come here tonight, road trip or no road trip. For one thing, that word, we'll take the South off, but that word Liverpool, right?
You need to know.
Tells you everything you need to know, because whether, love them or loathe them, anybody from down that neck of the woods, they're winners. That's what they do. They fight, they scrap, they're winners. That's what they want to do. Exactly. So it will be a tough match. It'll be a tough match, and hopefully, our lads will not rest on the laurels, which I'm sure they won't. And it's all the makings of a very good game.
Brilliant. What a way to finish. I'll see you later on this evening. Just to let you know, if you can't make the game, myself and Andrew Knights will be bringing you live match commentary on our YouTube page from 7:45. But it should be a cracker. And let's hope we have another fantastic game and a fantastic support, because the support on Saturday, or the support over the last couple of weeks, Brent, well, ever since the start of the season, it's been tremendous.
Been great. Long may it continue, because we need that support on several fronts. So it's brilliant. Thank you.
See you later, mate. Bye.
See you, pal.